An affordable Tesla, it's coming! Hello, I'm Will, welcome to the Tesla Jigsaw. Today I'm going to talk about the upcoming Model 2, the cheapest, smallest Tesla that they've ever created. Something I've been longing to see since I first heard of Tesla is an affordable, smaller one. One that the majority of people can actually afford to buy or lease, and one that's suitable to thrash around and enjoy our lovely country roads here in the UK. We are getting closer to that point now, and I'm so excited to hear about the next generation 3 platform that Tesla has up its enormous sleeve, which is going to be announced at Tesla's next Investor Day on March the 1st this year. That's very soon, and I'm very excited, as you can tell, because I'm a Tesla geek. So let's talk about it. What's it going to be? Well, for a start, it's not going to be called a Model 2. That's been Elon clarified. But without a name, it's a bit hard to discuss, isn't it? So we're going to have to call it something. Let's call it Susan, shall we? So, maybe not. Brian the car. No, let's just call it the Model 2 for now. Okay, it's going to be roughly $25,000, which will probably equate to about £24,000 here in the UK. It's going to be built on Tesla's third generation platform. So the first generation that Tesla had was the Model S and the Model X. They sit on the same sort of floor pan, if you like, of car, and then they pop the rest on top. Platform, skateboard, I'm not sure what to call that bit. I'll pop it on screen so you can see it. That'll be helpful, won't it? The second generation is the Model 3 and the Model Y. And then this third generation is going to be sort of smaller, lighter, more efficient, probably less batteries. They've learned how to produce these more efficiently, deleted parts, re-engineered and improved components. So this third generation is the ultimate efficient version that Tesla can make right now. No doubt it's going to be rear-wheel drive and probably a 4-door hatchback. I guess it'll be at the minimum the size of a Ford Fiesta. I can't imagine it's going to be any smaller than that due to safety. It's been designed in Tesla China's Research and Development Center and designed for massive scalability, easy production and affordability. The batteries will be designed to last 1 million miles. They will not be compromising on technology. They're not going to just rip out all the cameras to save bits of money here and there. And it will offer full self-driving capabilities in the future. I'm getting a bit in depth here, aren't I? I'm just going to shut up and stick to my bullet point, shall I? Okay, it's going to be the safest car ever tested. They will not compromise on safety. Mark my words, that's always top priority for Tesla. Why make a smaller car? Well, it's for European and China markets predominantly. We just don't need massive cars over here. We can pop a roof box on top and just be happy with the space we've got. We've got lovely wiggly roads around here and stupid tiny parking spaces. We just don't need enormous cars. Yeah, the Model Y is comparatively massive here in the UK, let alone the Model S and the Model X. Then there's a Cybertruck. I mean, where the hell are you going to park that thing? It's going to have to go in a lorry bay. Obviously, most American cars are enormous. Your roads are enormous. Your driveways are enormous. Your garages, your parking spaces are enormous. Can't think of anything else that's enormous. Yeah, let's move on. The lower a vehicle is priced, the more people who can afford it. This creates a greater demand for the product with each subsequent price drop. This car is going to be insanely popular. For those willing to work out the true cost of ownership over time, this £24,000 car will pay for itself in cost savings over 8 years. This is taken from my own experience of paying £3,000 a year cost to run my old Mini Countryman Cooper S 4x4 thing. £3,000 times 8 years, £24,000. Compared to an internal combustion engine car where you've got huge amounts of costs involved in servicing it, maintaining it, this is going to be a great money saver for lots of people. It's going to be cheap and cheerful, but with no compromises. It's going to offer better value than anything else in terms of its price versus its features. I'll happily go on record and say it will have class-leading practicality, functionality, safety, efficiency, the charging infrastructure to support it, incredible software running it, better over-the-air updates, everything that matters this car will lead in. And it's still going to be more spacious than most small cars. The reason for this comes from the Model 3 and the Model Y. When they first revealed it, they talked about the interior, the fact that the dashboard has been pushed really far forward. So right at the base of the windscreen is where the dashboard starts. And then you've got your steering wheel just beyond that. Now, most cars have an engine in there, and the engine protrudes into the cabin space as well. So then you're sat further back. So with this design aspect, you can actually have an enormous amount of interior space because you're pushed forward as a driver, gives you more room in the back, gives you more boot space. This Model 2, no doubt, will be very similar to the Model 3 and the Model Y interior and will benefit from that too. So why is it taken so long? Well, the secret master plan that was released a long time ago set out the path forward to how to get to a mass-produced car. It all starts with the Tesla Roadster, a very expensive, not many people can afford it car. But the more people who buy that, they have more money to put back into the company to produce the Model S and the Model X, which is a more expensive car, but not as expensive as a Roadster. And then it was the Model 3 and the Model Y. So the next iteration of this is the Model 2. It's the smallest, cheapest mass-produced version. This opens the floodgates to consumers who can finally afford one. Batteries have been predictably declining in cost over the years. As demand increases and manufacturing scales up, the cheaper something becomes. This has been true for TVs, washing machines, solar panels. Anything that's mass-produced becomes cheaper over time. And now is that time. Tesla have had to make incremental improvements to their manufacturing, design, efficiency, battery technology, plus deleting parts and processes in manufacturing and become ultra efficient in how they build cars. These processes have been the necessary steps to lower costs to extreme levels and are now ready to scale up to huge production volumes. With the huge success of the Model 3 and the Model Y, it's not as if there's been a demand problem. There's been a production problem. They cannot build enough of the things for people who want them. So they're not going to have wanted to build this Model 2 variant just yet. They don't want to cannibalise those sales. They're going to wait until it's the right time. So really, it should be no surprise to those that are paying attention to Tesla that it's taken until now to build a mass volume $25,000 car. Ultimate domination. This car is going to be half the cost to build and manufacture compared to the Model 3 and Model Y. That's not normal and might seem impossible. However, just like the predictable declining costs of batteries, EVs too have been predictably declining in cost thanks to scaling up manufacturing, incremental improvements in their design, and quite simply fewer moving parts. Electric vehicle drivetrains only have 20 moving parts compared to over 2,000 in cars with engines. This favourably impacts the cost to build an EV. ICE cars cannot get cheaper to build anymore. EVs will continue to get cheaper over time. Nobody other than Tesla are making profitable EVs right now. The likes of Volkswagen, Ford, GM, BMW all rely on the money they make from ICE cars, which if you think about it for just a little time can only end in disaster. If they cannot build a similar priced EV to a Tesla Model 2, and once they no longer make engines and rely on those profits, not to mention the dealership model that's an unnecessary financial burden, the Model 2 will be the final nail in the coffin, the ultimate smackdown for traditional car companies. The only hope for them would be to license Tesla's technology and software. For those pure electric companies like BYD, NIO and XPeng in China, and any companies that have been urgently transitioning to EVs like Hyundai, Kia and Nissan, they are the likely survivors in this disruptive time. The ice age is almost over, and it's fascinating to me that more people don't know it's coming. The new Tesla factory could also be the machine that builds the machine, with vertical integration and local supply chains. And as Elon has previously mentioned, cars should be running off the production line, not slowly crawling off it. At present, a Volkswagen ID3 takes 30 hours to build, whereas a Tesla Model Y takes just 10. Tesla is aiming for 100% local components to build the Tesla made Model 2. Obviously, local materials are cheaper and less transportation costs and a lower overall carbon footprint compared to shipping raw materials around the world. Each factory is working towards a greater percentage of locally sourced materials. Software as a service equals future 100% profit. Full self-driving, gaming, streaming, entertainment, etc. For those car companies not offering software as a service, this will also speed up their inevitable demise. It's where the profit revenues are going to be in the future. It's not going to be in the cost of selling the car. It's going to be a constant stream of profits coming into a car company if you can sell software as a service. Let's do some speculating. Okay, my prediction is it might be a single piece casting. At the moment, they've got the Giga casting currently producing the front and rear sections of a car, which sort of stamps the entire blob of the back end and the same as the front and pop them together. And when this Giga press first came out, that stamped piece removed a third of the robots on the factory floor. And then once the rear end got Giga pressed as well, that got rid of another third of the robots in the factory. So that's 2/3 of a factory floor of robots disappear with this one machine that's called the Gigapress. Now, if you take that to the next level, maybe this Model 2 will just have 2 stamped pieces, one on each side, like an Easter egg that's just plopped together or something like that. That could be a way to mass produce this thing at rapid speed. More speculation then. There's a huge amount of wiring in cars which could be replaced using Bluetooth for parts to communicate. I'm going to speculate that it will be the slowest Tesla that they've ever built. It'll probably be 0 to 60 in around 6 seconds. Which will still be faster than most cars on the roads. You know, you don't need like 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds for a little old lady to be pootling around in this Tesla, if they can work the screen, that is. So this car is not going to be designed for that. It's just going to be designed to be a nice little nippy runaround. I also think there's such thing as too fast as well. When I first had the Model 3, and it's only the standard range plus variant, so 0 to 60 in 5 seconds I think mine is, It's ludicrous. I mean, and that's the slowest of all the Teslas at the time. But for me, going around my favourite little country roads, and you're putting your foot down, it's just immensely fast. It kind of reminds me of when I used to ride motorbikes. And I'd have like really, rubbishy little motorbikes with relatively small engines. But I used to just love pushing them to the extremes of their limits. And it was such good fun to ride. And then the more I progressed up in engine size, by the time I got to a 1500cc kind of Yamaha something or other, all my favourite roads became ridiculous. I just couldn't ride it like that anymore. It's just too fast for our roads. So I think this little version can be great fun. To push to its limits might be a lot more fun than pushing my Model 3. A little hot hatch, a little hot hatch version of this. That's it. I'm sure there'll be a performance version with 4-wheel drive, which will be a super ridiculous hot hatch, which I'm most excited for, despite the previous speech of not wanting to go really fast. That'll be an amazing little fun car to drive. It might be built with the purpose to easily retrofit into a robo-taxi, which sounds insane, but just like the Model 3 and Model Y interior suggests, with just a central screen and nothing else in the front, if you remove the steering wheel and pedals, you're left with a lovely minimalist spacious design. And if it was autonomous, you don't need anything else on the front there. I'd imagine it's going to be very similar to the Model 3 and the Model Y interior. There's not going to be loads of buttons and gizmos or anything. There's no way they're going to go down that path. It'll just be a screen in the middle and a steering wheel, but with the possibility of future removal. Sounds mad. Okay, batteries again. There's always a flipping batteries bit in my videos, isn't there? Have you noticed? Tesla uses a variety of different battery chemistries, one of which are LFP batteries, that's lithium iron phosphate, that have no nickel or cobalt, but instead use iron, which is cheaper and a more abundant material. This means there are fewer supply constraints, plus iron-based batteries have a longer life cycle. They can be charged to 100% without issue and are marginally safer than other batteries. Tesla have been using LFP batteries in some Model 3 variants, gathering data and insights into its chemistry for optimization in the mass market Model 2. You may have heard of the 4680 battery cells that Tesla has designed and developed itself, which is being scaled up in factories around the world for mass production. Well, these batteries are more suited to higher performance vehicles with longer ranges, to give more oomph if you like. It's all to do with the chemistry inside and to which batteries are suitable to each vehicle. So let's assume the Model 2 will have a 50 kWh LFP battery pack, which will give it around 250 miles of range. However, if efficiencies improve due to weight saving and battery technology, 6 miles per kWh might be possible, which would be a 300 mile range on a 50 kWh battery pack. Ooh. Okay, my predictions. Tesla could potentially sell 10 million Model 2s a year once they reach volume production. It will be the most compelling, high-tech, desirable, fun, value-for-money car ever made, with interior space and practicality that I don't think could be matched by anyone else. Certainly not by any other car company that needs to maintain some profits, as Tesla has streamlined its production and materials costs to insanely low levels compared to other competitors. One more step beyond this could bring a Generation 4 platform, yet again reducing costs, growing efficiencies and manufacturing techniques to make an even more affordable car. With the future production of a dedicated robotaxi, this gets Tesla to 20 million vehicle run rate by 2030. If that sounds impossible, just remember back in 2014 when Tesla predicted building 500,000 cars by 2020. This was laughed at and ridiculed by Wall Street, car manufacturers and most people who read it. Despite the odds of success, plus a pandemic, they did it. On the Q3 2022 earnings conference call, Elon said regarding the Model 2, it will swiftly exceed the production of all our other vehicles combined. Best not underestimate Elon. Right, ending. Is that what I've called this bit? Ending? Yep, seems so. Well, I'll be like Ron Burgundy and just read what's in front of me. Ending. This has enormous financial implications for Tesla. On top of already industry-leading profit margins, $22 billion in the bank, a 51% year-over-year total revenue growth, record-breaking quarter after quarter for years now. This next-generation platform, even if they sell it at relatively low profit margins, will be an absolute money printer. Just look at this revenue chart. It's ridiculous. Tesla made more money in Q4, that's the last 3 months of 2022, than it did in the entirety of 2016 and 2017 combined. This is only going to continue to grow. The software as a service revenue alone, when considering millions more Teslas will be on the road, will be huge. Just consider 100 million cars, each paying a monthly subscription for their car to be autonomous, or just paying for the premium connectivity of live traffic data, streaming services and entertainment. The profits look too insane to even mention. Then there's the possibility of licensing the full self-driving technology and software to other manufacturers. Maybe licensing and even producing the new platform for others to use someday. After all, how could you possibly compete against Tesla with such inferior products at higher prices, which is exactly where they are heading? Are we finally going to hear about part 3 of Elon's secret master plan? Will we hear of Tesla getting into the mining for raw materials for its batteries perhaps? How are they going to scale up to reach 20 million vehicles a year by 2030? I've got a good idea how, but I would love to hear their plan going forward. I'm also hoping to hear of a new factory announcement. I think Mexico is looking rather likely, and possibly the UK as well. Fingers crossed. And here's the big one. Will a prototype vehicle actually be revealed on the day? I flipping hope so. Or are they just going to discuss it? Either way, I suppose. I'll have a lovely time watching it, but I really hope there's a prototype. That'd be sweet. Anyway, enough about what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't done already, press that like button, and then you can watch one of these videos as well. Woo! That is, of course, unless you've got something better to watch. Yeah, you might have, to be fair. I'm doing my best. If you do like what I've done so far, please like and subscribe for more content. Thanks a lot. Ta-da! Ta-da! Flipping magician. Cheerio.